The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
Okay, it's divine timing, okay? This season's going to be the greatest Canucks season of all time. Yuri Patera comes back to the Canucks. You can't make this. The Canucks are stacked.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
That's right. The most handsome tweener is back, and the most handsome Canucks podcast is also back. Welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, co-host of Locked On Canucks, also a Canucks writer with Daily Hive Vancouver. Before we dive into today's official Canucks season preview, we got to thank you for tuning into Locked On Canucks, because it is your Canucks every damn day. We're part of that Locked On Podcast Network. They're doing the most for sports fans across the world. And for our show, if you haven't done so already, what are you waiting for? Make sure you go subscribe and like on YouTube, and on the podcast side, go follow us and leave a 5-star review, because we're not here without you and you and you. And we're also not here without the sponsors. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Patrik Allvin has spoken to the media, and more importantly, the Canucks roster is set, or is it, entering opening night? Allvin, yes, set the official roster to get the Canucks cap compliant and all that good stuff, but in his media availability, did leave some doors open for some changes. So let's get into all that and more with my co-host. He's the sexiest Findu I've ever met, Kyle Bowen. How you doing, brother?
I was thinking about this, Trevor. By the way, how's it going? Good afternoon. Welcome to the unofficial Vancouver Canucks season preview, brought to you by Locked On the Don'tos Art Lab, Trevor Beggs and Kyle Bowen. And more importantly, you and you and you and you and you and you. We'll get to all those comments very soon. But man, oh man, Trevor, I'm getting older, right? I'm getting older, 31 and a half years old. And, sooner or later, I'm thinking like 6 to 8 years, I'm going to have children, okay? And the first thing I'm going to do, a boy or girl or boy, I'm going to teach that child how to be a right-handed penalty-killing defenseman or right-handed penalty-killing forward, okay? Straight up. That's what you got to do. Those people are important, okay? And Neil Zaman, man. Neil Zaman. Come on, Aman. I'm not going to lie. Even though, he quote-unquote takes a spot away from the Surrey boy, Archie Bains, right? Archie Bains sent down, quote-unquote, to Abbotsford. I'm not going to front, man. I really liked what he did against the Oilers in that last preseason game. I think when Neil Zaman is on, like he's a better penalty killer than a lot of the other Canucks. And I know the penalty killing unit overall has to improve. But at the end of the day, we saw it kind of grow to something kind of prominent by the end of the year. He even did its best against the Oilers, okay? For real. That shit, my bad, okay? It was historic, and we did okay. And Neil Zaman at times, maybe not against the Oilers, but at times, again, was a part of that rise. And in this preseason, I feel as if he brought it. He brought it the whole way through, and especially a penalty killing. And I'm not that mad that, again, Neil Zaman took Archie Bains' spot.
I mean, again, we're talking about the 13th forward for your Vancouver Canucks on opening night if everyone's healthy, right? So, I looked at it from a cap perspective too. I think if Archie Bains was making more money than Aatu Räty and got them closer to that maximizing the cap, because that's what you want to do on LTIR, is you want to get as close to that cap ceiling as possible, then I think Archie Bains would have been in the opening night lineup. But, Aatu Räty did earn it over the preseason. He was the Canucks' best forward in the preseason in my eyes. And he plays that premium position of center ice too. So I'm really curious to see where Aatu Räty, Neil Zaman, Archie Bains, how they all slot in if Pius Suter is healthy and if Connor Garland's healthy, because it becomes an interesting conversation, right? Again, we're starting here talking about the bottom of the lineup, maybe not the sexiest topic, but at this time of year, when you're looking at your 23-man roster, it's like, who's going to sneak into the lineup? Who's going to surprise? And Aatu Räty has surprised people, but again, with Pius Suter now healthy, Kyle, I'm going to ask you, is Aatu Räty starting the season as the Canucks' third line center, let's call it?
Oh, wait. Of course he is, man. Of course he is. And look at you, just totally ignored Neil Zaman. That's how boring he is. That's how boring Neil Zaman is. I know. It's crazy. It took me 100 games of Neil Zaman to actually, appreciate him a little bit. So much so that I'm not, again, furious. I should be rioting that the guy from Surrey, Archie Baines. Okay, Archie Baines, man, dude, living the dream. Okay, you don't know what it's like, Trevor. Okay, straight up, this guy's doing it. This guy's doing it. And Neil Zaman, man. Anyways, Ratu, dude. Here's the thing, he earned it, and I think he's gonna have a lot of fun playing on the Rats line, right, or the Rat line. He's gonna get that look with Garland and Hoglander ASAP if all goes well with Garland. And if he's able to capitalize early on that opportunity and have fun, because we're still like 4 weeks away, 5 weeks away, do the math from seeing Dakota Joshua back. I think his ability to take advantage of this and be the player he can be in the NHL can lead to him being the ultimate X factor for this team. And for so many reasons, not just based on his like quote unquote ceiling and how much fun he's having with the game right now and what hockey can do for him, but also because of the versatility that Pius Suter gives you, because this guy can play on the wing. And, we just talked about Neil Zaman being a little boring, right? Come on, Amon. Dude, every time he scores a goal, something like that's got to play, man. This guy's something else. Anyways, Pius Suter, he's a little bit boring, but he's also pretty good, like really good. You know what I'm saying? And his versatility makes him super effective. And we saw it against Nashville, man. Scored one of the biggest goals in a lot of people's lives. Okay, the Canucks haven't made the playoffs in 30 years, 56 years. Okay, 14. You know what I'm saying? Game 6, game-winning goal, and he could have had like 8 in that series, to be honest. So again, his ability to play on the wing now, if Ratu can actually play in the NHL as a center, gives the Canucks a bit of a different weapon. And Trevor, you know what it is. Okay, this is the unofficial Canucks season preview. We're going all the way to the end, right? We're beating the Oilers in the second round of the playoffs. We're going to win the Stanley Cup 7 weeks later. And if you're going to win the Stanley Cup, you got to talk about your depth pieces at the start of the show, because it really comes down to them.
It does, right? And it's interesting because we've kind of seen throughout camp that, honestly, kind of since the beginning of training camp, that the Canucks top 9 has been kind of set, aside from Ratu kind of forcing his way into that conversation, right? You've had DeBrusk and Pettersson with Lekkerimaki and now Daniel Sprong. You've had Miller and Besser with Danton Heinen from day one of training camp. Then you've had Hoglander, Garland, and Ratu. So your top 9's been kind of set the whole way. But Kyle, let me throw it to you on this one.
Okay.
You got 2 guys in the top 6 in Daniel Sprong and Danton Heinen, who weren't here last year, who were kind of low risk, high reward bets in free agency. If those 2 aren't up to snuff, which player from the rest of the lineup gets the first shot at playing in the top 6?
It's one of 2 guys, man. And I'm so happy that it's going down this way. And again, the Canucks are winning the Stanley Cup this year, and these 2 pieces are gonna, be a big part of it. And again, it's so beautiful how these 2 are doing it, because size doesn't matter when it comes to Connor Garland and Niels Hoglander. Among being the most skilled players on this team, again, size doesn't matter. And when it comes to being some of the toughest and some of the grittiest, it's the same. And if Heinen and that player type, and if Daniel Sprong and that player type can't be effective with Pettersson and Miller, let's keep it simple and just talk about those 2 guys. I think it's going to leave the door open for kind of anyone. I mean, Rick Tocchet's a hockey nerd. That's the thing, okay? Archie Baines can play in the top 6. We don't know, dude. We don't know. Archie Baines scored some goals too in the preseason. And Tocchet alluded to, his offensive ability and how the organization is having a close eye on him. Like, I think they might want to lean into that a little. Don't turn it over. You don't have to do all those dangles, but use your awareness in the offensive zone to be effective. And if, again, Sprong and Heinen can't get it done, it just leaves the door open for anyone, because Rick Tocchet just loves puzzles. And, this is going to be a lot of fun for the guy.
Yeah, nothing like nerding out over a good old hockey puzzle. And, that's why these guys get the paid bucks. And Rick Tocchet is making, who knows how much, let's say $4 million a year right now to do puzzles. And what a life he's living, Kyle. Man, oh man. Again,
is puzzle like golf and like gardening, You know what I'm saying?
I think of gardening more so than golf, I guess.
Who actually enjoys making puzzles? I don't have one friend that's like, yeah, I can't hang out tonight, I'm actually building this puzzle, which is cool, but nobody's ever said that line to me.
Kyle, you're also, I know you think 31 and a half years old is old, but it's pretty young in terms of puzzle making. So
okay, my bad.
I this is coming from a guy who's works in a retirement home. Okay, so I've seen lots of puzzles floating around in my time. So not too many surprises with the Vancouver Canucks roster on opening night. And one thing that isn't a surprise either is that Patrik Allvin.
Wait, hold up. There's some surprises, man. There's some surprises. Okay, Trevor. I know we got work to do on all this stuff, but the biggest surprise is it's not seeing the bottom six for what it actually could be like. We're kind of running into injury problems here, you know? Is Garland playing for sure? I haven't seen the line rushes from today, but Kurt Richardson, I think he's an honest man. You can't be named Kurt Richardson and not be honest. You know what I'm saying? He's saying that Ratu was playing with Suter and Hoglander today, not Garland and Hoglander. Like, is Garland at practice or doing anything? Like, what's going on there?
Yeah, so I did the Canucks practice today. I'm only seeing practice lines from yesterday, and Garland was not skating.
Okay.
Suter was back skating, and he was on the third line in Garland's spot. But the report from the coaching staff was Garland is basically day to day. They haven't really elaborated what's going on. But it sounds like he's going to play for opening night. It sounds like he almost played in Friday's preseason finale, and they took him out kind of as a precaution.
Okay, good, man.
Just right? So it sounds like they're pretty close to having a full lineup. You know, Teddy Blueger obviously battled injuries. He's back. Suter's back. Sounds like Garland's going to be back. So really the only guy that's not healthy, ready to go right now is Dakota Joshua. And we did hear some updates on that today. Demko Joshua reportedly out potentially 3 to 4 weeks. Is this insider just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks?
It is definitely.
From Darren Dreger of TSN.
Darren Dreger, Elliot Friedman. I just feel as if it's you don't know. You don't know. Then you listen to Allvin talk, and it's like the last thing they want to do is leak out any type of timeline relating to Thatcher Demko. And you know, even if you want to throw Dakota Joshua in the mix, because it's way more human to do so, right? Let's be honest. Like they're both delicate things. But yeah, just back on the Demko thing, I don't think any news is going out. Like, if we want the Canucks to be the Stanley Cup winning team, they got to be tight, you know? No holes. And you know what I'm saying? I think it's like Operation 1 is to figure out how to win the Stanley Cup, and Operation number 2 is don't leak the Demko timeline. So when I hear 3 to 4 weeks, and then I hear Elliot Friedman kind of allude to the fact that, you know, they don't know how long, nobody knows how long it's going to be. Like, you know, the Canucks winning a lot of games could dictate how quickly Demko is needed back in the line. So many things, you know, it's one of those things that we have no control over, obviously. And one thing that we're also not aware of completely, because the Canucks ain't leaking this. You know what I'm saying? I'm convinced in that.
And nor should they leak it, man. Come on, keep it. They have that playoff mentality all season long. Okay, keep the cards close to the vest. It don't matter what the insiders are.
We don't matter, bro. We don't matter, bro.
We don't matter. We don't matter.
We all fans and stuff like that. But come on, just figure this out. Okay, we've never won a cup in 55. It feels like it's been 1,476 years. This team hasn't won a cup. Okay, for real. We don't know how it. We never did it. We never did it. We don't know how it's done. And at the top of that list for me is like being completely professional and just blocking out the noise and doing you. Like, you guys won championships. Don't listen to us. you guys know how to do this. We don't.
Yeah, and that's why Patrik Allvin is the best goddamn general manager in the NHL. More on that on the other side, and more to come with this official season preview. We'll get to some of your comments as well after we shout out our friends over at Indeed. All right. You know what? The sun is shining today, but don't be fooled, okay? Summer's over, and that means it's time to get off your rear end and get a job. And if you're an employer and you're looking to hire someone, make sure that you use Indeed, okay? Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data. And they got a matching engine so fast that they help you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work and use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed just doesn't help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree that Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. And one of the things I love about Indeed, that they're so fast, they make fast things look not fast. Figure that one out. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. Listeners of the show, guess what? You'll get a $75 sponsored job credit. Wow. To get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/lockedon. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this very podcast. Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Okay, we back, and we doing this. Talking about your Vancouver Canucks, right, on the unofficial Canucks season preview. Trevor Beggs, Kyle Bowen, Trevor Beggs. Second best dad in the world. Okay. And you know what, Trevor? We've been doing the show for like 400 days. I can't do the math. We've been here almost every day, just talking ish.
420 days.
420 days. Okay. Yes, 100%. And I realized, man, I never asked you how you're doing, man. So how was the weekend?
Wasn't bad, bro. It wasn't bad. Yeah, it's
Dude, the
not
Giants, the Seahawks, man. Okay. Daniel Jones, bro. Come on.
yeah, my team got beat by Daniel Jones. I had to do a lot of studying. Yeah, so but family time in between's good. So wasn't the best weekend, wasn't the worst weekend. We'll call it that.
You gotta light some candles, man. You know what I'm saying? You gotta light some candles, man. Anyways, look at this comment from Ashneil Law, man. Again, I think I went to high school with this guy. Okay, one of the coolest guys I met, one of the most genuine people I met. Okay, for real, from day one. But he's an Oilers fan, and I don't know why he's here, man. What, you gonna fight with your girl or something like that? What's going on, man? Don't you got something to do? No, Trevor, you know what? I got a confession to make. Anyways, Ashneil says what? Canucks are a way better team this year, but not a better team than the Oilers. Bada bing, bada boom, whatever. Okay. Why do we do that, man? Like, why do people like me spend time listening to Oilers podcasts, especially after they lose a game? Like, why am I staying in touch with that? Like, why am I not spending more time with my girlfriend? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's going on there? That's a complete waste of time, isn't it?
Nope, because if you're obsessed with sports and you're obsessed with your team, you want to ride the highs and lows of those emotions. And tuning into an Oilers podcast after they lose, like there's nothing better than that, man. What are you talking about? The only thing better than that is tuning into Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every day. Come on. And to Ashley's comment about the Canucks being good but not better than the Oilers. Look, the Oilers, it doesn't matter where you look. I haven't seen a single betting platform, a single power ranking right now that doesn't have the Oilers at number 1 overall. And this is coming from the show that on YouTube has the Edmonton Losers logo in our little thumbnail here. Again, the Oilers on paper, the best team in the NHL, but that doesn't mean they don't have flaws. And Kyle, that kind of leads me to the Vancouver Canucks. Mm-hmm. When you look at the other contenders around the Canucks right now, how concerned are you about the Canucks' flaws entering the season when they play these contenders? Or in general, are you thinking that the Canucks are overall in a pretty good position because maybe their flaws aren't that big of a deal?
Well, you know what? I think their flaws are a big deal, and I shouldn't think like that because at the end of the day, you also asked the question about like, are you worried about pretty much how this is going to look in the beginning of the season? I'm a firm believer that, as we saw with a couple individuals and even with some teams too, right? Like look at the Oilers for a matter of fact, progression can literally happen in 6 months, 7 months. You can be a way different team, and I'd be patient with Foote and Tocchet and company if they took that route to figure something out. And there's some struggles in between then and now, straight up. But at the same time, it's hard to also put so much faith in that if the Canucks do struggle off the top, knowing that this team's only been good for 25 seconds, 30 seconds. So the worry to me, when I look at some of the flaws, especially with the back end, I feel like it is going to piss me off a lot if they struggle. You know what I'm saying? Because it seems kind of glaring. It does to me. That at number, their defense is worse than it was last year.
Yeah, there's a ton of variables out there too, right? Like it's funny. I've been going through a lot of the NHL rosters and kind of dissecting like how do the Canucks compare to this team. And like one team that stood out to me randomly was the Washington Capitals, and it's like the Washington Capitals for the most part are going to be considered a bottom 10 team entering the season. A fringe playoff team, but really on the outside looking in. But if you look at their defense, what is it? Jacob Chicherin, John Carlson, Rasmus Sandin, Martin Fehervary, Matt Waugh, and Trevor Van Riemsdyk. And I'm like, yeah, they don't have Quinn Hughes and Phil Pronik, but like 1 through 6, like, are they comparable to the Canucks? I think so, because it's like we got Susie Myers, Forbort Day, Hardnay. Like that's not really scared anybody, aside from the fact that they're big, tall trees.
He's not healthy. Susie's not healthy, but like he can't like lean on that just based on how injured he was last year specifically, and recency bias. We're only human beings. But if he's healthy for 82 games, like the Canucks legitimately have a really good, in my opinion, number 3 defenseman who has only a couple years left on his deal, would like to, sign another big one, has a lot to prove. He's just good, bro. This guy's good with it. I have faith. It's just the other guys. And, so much depth talk early on in the season, early on in this episode, the unofficial Canucks season preview. We haven't spent 14 seconds on Quinn Hughes. You know what I'm saying? Specifically, I know we're talking about the decor, but my next question to you is, ironically to me, one of the biggest questions of the year. because it dictates a lot. You want to talk about X factors, and he was somewhat of a silent one last year if you really look at it. But if Tyler Myers takes a step back, like we're in big trouble. But if he takes a step forward, or if he's the same defenseman that he was from like, I don't know, December to April, I will rest a little easier and be more patient for a little bit of a change, because that's up in there too, right? The Canucks were good for 25 seconds. Well, Tyler Myers was good for 22.
Yeah, and you know what? I think again, the big elephant in the room is that you saw what the Canucks did with their roster. Not going to LTIR, they're going to accumulate more cap space daily, and they're going to be able to add a player. And I'm calling right now, and I've said this before. Every day is no. I would be shocked if the Canucks do not add another top four defenseman at some point this season. I've gone through the list, and maybe we'll go through it again now that rosters are finalized, Kyle, before the season starts. But I'd be shocked if they didn't target a defenseman, and we'll see. How this team performs over the first couple months of the season, how healthy everyone is. Can Quinn Hughes level up even further? I think that is still a debate, right? Can he push 100 points? Can he get more points in the power play? We saw Quinn Hughes level up, and you saw the commitment on this guy, eating nothing but figs and eggs, according to the Amazon Prime documentary. Quinn there's a lot of
boring guy in hockey, man. I love it, man. He's so serious, man. He's, it's the little details within a team that help one triumph, right? I've watched a lot of documentaries, okay? Docuseries, okay? Straight up. When you don't win, you just want to win, and you just want to be around it. I'm watching these documentaries, and every team, most of the teams are just so locked in. They're so locked in. They're so taken aback with the dream and doing it for the guy that's next to you in the room, right? Everyone's locked in. I feel as if the only time I saw a documentary where that wasn't the case was Dennis Rodman, but he was so good, so excellent. I'm talking like top 10 most important player in that era. Like he was one of those, like it was an outlier situation where he was allowed to do him, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, Quinn Hughes is the captain, eating figs, reading books, so locked in, so boring. Again, critics are calling Face Off great, but a little boring. And they're only leaving that comment because of Quinn Hughes, apparently, okay? But I love how serious he is, and it's gonna rub off on everyone. And just going back to the whole Tyler Myers thing, it's as a fan, somebody who thinks the Canucks are gonna win and do all these great things, and Quinn Hughes is the guy. How can we not win with him? Blah blah blah. For Quinn Hughes to also probably be one of Tyler Myers' biggest fans, like make sure this guy doesn't leave the room type attitude. You know what I'm saying? Because that's why we kept him too. Like it's a big deal. It's a big deal. Good team guy, right? Good team guy. If somehow, some way, Myers again can, live up to the hype that he probably has in that room, or to some of his new fans, I just feel as if this team is so much better. But again, I have some doubt, and I think I need to go to therapy with Tyler Myers, man. It'd be healthy, man.
At the Amsterdam Cafe, that's where Kyle does all his therapy sessions.
Thanks for letting me
Kyle's there's not much therapy needed right now for us in Vancouver, because again, you listening. You cheer for one of the best goddamn teams in the NHL. You got Patrik Allvin as your general manager, making some moves. Let's touch on a few other loose odd ends on the other side to wrap up here on Locked On Canucks after we shout out our friends over at FanDuel. Haha, you know the deal, baby. If you're betting on sports, you got to make sure you check out FanDuel, okay? Because whether you're betting on the NFL or the NHL, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunt in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Kyle, man, oh man, Green Bay Packers were slight favorites on the road. They ended up emerging victorious. My Seattle Seahawks were 7-point favorites, and they lost by 9 points to Daniel Jones. But I'll let all the bad voodoo get taken out on the Seahawks if it means your Vancouver Canucks win a Stanley Cup. Whether you're sharing my Seahawks sadness, whether you bet against the Seahawks, whether you like the Canucks or not, make sure you go check out FanDuel.com.
Shout out to the New York Giants, man. My second favorite football team, straight up. That's funny. Okay, we back doing this. That's talking about the Canucks, and we've only been talking about the bottom, quote unquote, on this official / unofficial preview of what's about to come. Okay, Speaking of which, I don't know how the show's gonna finish. I didn't even know where the show was gonna go. But when we decided to do this type of episode, I told Trevor right away, no rules, let it fly, because I'm emotional, man, and I'm a Canucks fan again, and I had a daydream about watching the game on Wednesday, and I started getting nervous, and I'm really happy that I'm not looking so far ahead, you know? I think some Canucks fans, and I thought I was gonna be one of these ones, ironically, but we're kinda looking towards the playoffs, you know, that matchup against the Oilers, like, April, May felt so good, like, I can't wait to hit that again, but it literally is gonna take this team the ability to stay consistent, be focused on one game after another for them to get there. Because this team's barely done it. They just started getting good. There's no culture of winning here, and that's what it's going to take. And as a fan, I'm happy that I got a little nervous because for me, it's going to be one game at a time, straight up, and we'll be here all the way through.
All the way through, baby, on Locked On Canucks, our second full season of doing Locked On Canucks. And you know what happened in our first full season? The Canucks shocked the hockey world, ended up as one of the best goddamn teams in the NHL. And a lot of that because of Patrik Allvin, okay? Man, oh man, we've talked about time and time again, every dayers know. The Canucks have gone from having the worst management team in the NHL to arguably the best one. And Kyle, I know you hopped on and did a great job talking about the Nils Hoglander signing. Man, oh man, what a shrewd bet that was. What a great decision that was to sign Nils Hoglander through a couple of RFA arbitration eligible years, 1 year of unrestricted free agency. And man, oh man, even if it's just like a 20 goal, 35 point guy, like that's going to be a good deal. But obviously with Nils Hoglander, who was the third youngest player on the Canucks right now behind Aatu Räty and Artur Shilovs, obviously he's got the potential to do quite a bit more as well.
Yeah, he does. What a good deal. And you know, if we're talking about culture, not having that winning culture yet, you're starting to see the remnants. Is that the right word, or the proof that players like being on this team that's only been good for 15 seconds? They want to get it done here. Hey, they may want to take a little bit less money just to make it work here, just to win here. You know, it's a beautiful thing knowing that everyone is bought in that room. You know, the fan base is bought in. Like, we're bought into this propaganda that the Canucks are gonna be one of the best teams in the league. They may win the Stanley Cup this year. There's some of that talk out there. Unbelievable. Okay, it's hyping me up. I'm crazy excited driving to work today. But those guys, they're bought into one game at a time. They're bought into being a Canuck, and I just feel like they're gonna handle business. And the Hoglander signing, if you're talking about handling business, is the best way to do it for real. This is a grand slam.
And there's been so many for Patrik Allvin and Kyle. Maybe something we'll do potentially this week or later on in the season is I kind of want to take another look at re-ranking Allvin's best moves, or maybe we just do best signings, because this guy just hits and hits and hits way more often than he misses. It's hard to think of too many misses. So I kind of want to, maybe go through an exercise of ranking the best signings by Allvin, whether it's even this summer or the past little bit, because it's just so refreshing in Vancouver to have a management team that makes the right decisions. And look at what it's led to. I know we keep joking about like build a statue of Jim Benning if they win the Stanley Cup because of Miller and Hughes and Pettersson and Demko. But let's be real. This is Patrik Allvin and Jim Rutherford knowing exactly what they're doing, making smart, calculated decisions, making some bold moves as well, which they had to do early on. And now I would say that over the past 12 months, there haven't necessarily been a lot of bold moves. It's just been smart, shrewd moves around the edges to solidify this team as not just a wildcard team and a playoff long shot or a Stanley Cup long shot, but as a true Stanley Cup contender.
Straight up, yo. And talking about everyone, right? The edges of the organization. Look at Kurt Richardson giving credit to Emily Castonguay, right? I said that right. She deserves credit too, okay? She seems to be shrewd as Allvin, and just helping out with getting amazing deals done. It's as if this organization is being led by hockey addicts, from their captain to their coach to their GM and their president. You know, when Rutherford talked to the radio, I don't know if it was a couple of years ago, but he was asked about like what he does day to day, right? And he talked about how when he gets off work, he goes home, he just watches hockey. And then you hear Patrik Allvin at his presser today, and you see how serious he is, but you also see as if, and you kind of see it in the proof, right? They're always getting work done. These guys are working like 18-hour day. You know what I'm saying? They're just always on the clock, thinking about, getting work done, getting business done. It's the details, man, to take us over the top. I think so. Never been there before, but something just feels different, and it's a beautiful thing, Trevor, because we got to the 30-minute mark, right? Yo, dude, we're almost getting fired for doing this, man. We're talking for 40 minutes, bro. Just come on, bro. Just getting letter after letter. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? In this, I'm dreaming of these things. I'm getting a little traumatic. Like, yo, are we going too long on these episodes? But here we did it. You know, we got to the end of the show doing an unofficial season preview, and we did not talk about Pettersson. We did not talk about Miller. We did not talk about Besser. You know, we barely talked about Hughes, Aronik, DeBrusque. You know what I'm saying? Daniel Sprong, the next thing, like the next Pavel Bure, bro. Kiefer Sherwood, bro. Kiefer Sherwood, the most versatile player in NHL history, according to some. And you talk about the one game approach, and I feel as if we're taking this serious too, man. Straight up. Go Canucks, go, man. We're winning the cup, bro.
Winning the cup, man. Where's the victory music? While you're queuing that up, we haven't talked about the Stars a lot in this episode yet, but I did want to mention this comment from Lloyd Parrott quickly. Lloyd Parrott saying that I'm a positive thinker and I believe we could have 4 100-point players this season. Woohoo! It says Trevor and Kyle can name them. I mean, I'm assuming you're talking about Pettersson, Miller, Hughes, and Besser, but maybe
Sherwood.
Kyle, he might be talking about Sherwood, Sprong, Garland, and Hoglander. Who knows, man?
Who knows, man? Who knows, man? And who knows what those Besser, Miller, Hughes, Patterson, like who knows what those guys are gonna do, right? When it comes to
okay. Before you say who knows what they're gonna do, why don't we put up a prediction on it? How many 100-point players the Canucks having this season? And who are they?
I think 3.
Whoo! Okay.
Dude, I'm just assuming their power play is going to be a lot better. You know, you talk about Miller wanting to be a way better 200-foot player, not worrying about getting to 100 points. You know, he could take his foot off at the pedal 5-on-5 to not cheat as much and be better defensively. But if that power play is a lot better and lives up to their potential, they're going to pick up so many more points.
Yeah, the power play is a bit of a wild card, to be honest, right? Just because of how bad they were towards the end of the season. Look, I was kind of debating between 0 to 2 players hitting 100 points, not to be pessimistic, but I'm feeling good because the Canucks won the cup this year, and I'm going to go with 2, and I'm going to say it's not Miller. I'm going to say it's Pettersson and Quinn Hughes.
Yo, if Hughes does it, like if he's the most boring, not boring, okay? Book readers are not boring, okay? Straight up. Coolest people in the world. He's a cool dude, okay?
Yeah, Quinn you're not Hughes, boring. You read books.
Cool guy Quinn, okay? Boom, bam. All right? Straight up, they're going to name a library after him. You know the Vancouver Public Library? Yo, if this guy wins the cup, bro, it's not going to be called the Vancouver Public Library. I'm sorry, dude. It ain't. No way, dude. It's going to be named after that guy. Okay? Coolest guy ever. Okay? If this guy gets to 100 points, though, it'll be another sign because, you know, people like the points. The kids like the points. The propaganda likes the points. If he does that, he is going to be in serious contention of, again, being the best player after Connor McDavid. Real talk. Like, he's going to be in that conversation, right? Draisaitl, Kevin Carr, Nathan McKinnon, Quinn Hughes. And I keep saying this, you know, this guy's going to win a cup, have a great career with the Canucks. Again, he's going to bring the cup home, and who knows what he'll do after, you know? Seems to love his brothers a lot. Straight up. But by the end of it, I feel like if he does what he's doing right now for another 18 years, another 16 years, there's no way that this guy's not talked about being top 7 defenseman of all time. Like one of the greatest to ever do it. Yeah, in the same breath, again, as Scott Niedermayer, but with a lot more points. When he was the man. You're captain. And again, we're winning the cup, dude. Yo, we winning the cup this year, man. We are winning the Stanley Cup. Our dreams are finally coming true. And I hope to see everyone at the parade. And let's just hug, yo. Let's just hug.
All right, celebrating before the season even begins. I love it, man. I love it. Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every day. Shout out to the everydayers, occasional listeners, first-time listeners, new subscribers, and those of you who join us on the live show on YouTube. Wherever you're listening, whenever you're listening, we appreciate the hell out of you for tuning in to Locked On Canucks. A couple of topics I got on my mind heading into the week. Potential trade targets on defense, revisiting that one more time. And Kyle, come on, man, maybe more season preview talk because we're about to preview potentially one of the most exciting seasons in Canucks history, baby. You got anything to say to these beautiful people listening to Locked On Canucks before we get out of here?
Read some books, man. Stop, you know, only using your reading skills for comments and captions. Read some books. See what happens. Let's go win a cup. We appreciate you guys. One love. And have a beautiful night.